Hey, it's another episode of Your Daily Scrum with professional Scrum trainers, Todd Miller and Ryan Ripley. Todd's on the bottom, I'm on top. You see the names, that's who we are. We teach all of the Scrum.org courses. We also run the Agile for Humans community over at community.agileforhumans.com. Why aren't you in there? A lot of free content, a lot of awesome people collaborating and talking and being awesome all at once. It's great. Todd and I go live every once in a while in there. We have some great events, some good content. Get over there, check it out, community.agileforhumans.com. Todd, today we got a question in our product owner course that ended up this week. How many PBIs should be in the product backlog? What a great question.
I can't believe we've never done a video about this before.
I'm shocked that there is still a Scrum topic that we haven't covered. Like this was like we've been stretching lately. This is amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. So, what we thought we would do is just give a quick, like a showcase, right?
Yeah.
So right here, what we're looking at is 100 sticky notes.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. What if we zoom out and we look at 200 sticky notes, Ryan?
That's a lot.
What if we go down to what probably a lot of our viewers' product backlogs look like? There is 500 sticky notes over here.
Oh my gosh. Flashbacks to old projects.
Yeah. How can you possibly? So 100's a lot. You said 100's a lot.
100's a lot.
200. Wow, that's a lot. How can you possibly know everything that's in here?
You can't. I don't think you can. Especially if our goal is, and I think on a Scrum team, our goal is to have a transparent product backlog. Mm-hmm. How do you have a transparent product backlog that's composed of 500 PBIs? How is that well understood? So transparency does not mean visible. If transparency just meant visible, then this could work. But transparency includes, and I think largely means, well understood. Mm-hmm. How can you have 500 PBIs that's well understood by the Scrum team and stakeholders?
You can't.
Right?
And we talked about. I was on a pretty large development effort before, and there was only 100, right? Yep. Because that way I could come up with the means to keep it transparent, keep it limited, delete things. Like I had to really question whether something would go on there. You had to be very diligent, or as Jeff Watts says, you had to be very ruthless as a product owner about what goes on the product backlog and doesn't. And so, I think you have a great idea what to do. Let's suppose you have 200, right? Let's suppose you have 200. Yep. What's a way, Ryan, that we could possibly take this list and make it a little bit more manageable, right?
So we like to give some basic guidance. So this is all opinion space. None of this is, this is just practice. This is what we've tried over the last 20 years, and it seems to have worked, right? So this is use at your own risk. Your mileage may vary, all those caveats aside. I want you to just take a look at your Scrum team's throughput, right? And maybe your Scrum team on average gets, maybe they get 10 items per sprint. Maybe their throughput is 10 items over the course of a sprint. And on average, that's what they achieve. Then I want you to think 3 to 6 months out, because I limit it to 3 to 6 months out, because if you're running a great sprint review, you're also getting new ideas from your stakeholders and your customers during sprint review, and new items are continually being added, right? So you're never going to have a shortage of ideas coming into your product backlog. So when I say 3 to 6 months, let's go on the longer end, because I think some pulses and heart rates are going up right now because we're about to recommend the delete key. So I know these product owners, Todd, they're starting to get a little antsy. So if we say 10 items per sprint, 3 to 6 months out, let's go 6 months. Let's say that you're running a 1 month sprint just for simple maths, right? So 60 items over 6 months. That's about what we can expect based off of our current throughput, right? So I would draw a line at about 60. So Todd's going to figure out where 60 is at, and he's going to draw a line on that 200 product backlog, with 200 items. Anything below that line is a wish list. We're just not going to get to it. I think realistically, looking at just the simple idea of throughput, multiplying it by an arbitrary time, it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. If you want to look at 12, that's great. But I think trying to visualize this, especially with your stakeholders, and saying, look, above the line is 6 months worth of work. Below the line is stuff that's just not going to happen because you're going to keep feeding us great ideas, sprint review over sprint review. Now we start getting kind of ruthless in the way that we're managing our product backlog. And I would actually delete those green items. I would go ahead and wipe them out. And here's the thing. Maybe you want to be a little conservative and keep 80. So you're willing to keep 20 green items aside. That's fine too. You need to find your comfort zone. But I think Todd's putting a great idea up here. It's okay to delete. The worst thing that's going to happen, right? Let's say we deleted a gem. Let's say we got rid of something really, really good. Guess what? If it's essential for your product, it's going to come back in a sprint review. Someone's going to suggest it. Someone's going to revive it. It's going to come back into your product backlog. Great ideas circulate back. And so the worst case, you're going to end up re-adding it at some other point. But to have just the cognitive load of trying to keep all of these green items in your mind as a Scrum team, and also keeping track of the things we're likely to do, like, this is crazy. And someone might say, well, this never happens in the real world. Todd, I remember specifically a keynote I was doing at a Scrum conference back when we used to travel and go to conferences. And part of that keynote is asking who has a product backlog, and everyone's hand goes up, of course, because it's a Scrum conference. And then who has product backlog items in their product backlog? Ha ha ha, of course we do. Who has a product backlog item in their product backlog older than a month? Of course we do. 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. I got up to 9 years at a keynote, Todd. There was a PBI that was 9 years old. It was a mainframe change at a financial company. And I had the hardest time convincing this gentleman, first of all, you're never going to make this change and you never need to. Your company's doing great. It's been 9 years. It's time to move on. And that's just one instance of many running this keynote. This is not a warehouse, right? This is an options list that we need to keep lean and mean so that we can keep it transparent, and that we can keep developers, especially, eye on the prize, fully understanding where our product goals are leading, and not getting distracted by 100 items that we're never, ever going to work on.
Yeah, I just wanted to build on what you said there. You mentioned throughput, right? And
Yep.
I think this is a great opportunity for us to take throughput, run through a Monte Carlo simulation, assuming that you're collecting cycle time and you have a throughput. And you can use a Monte Carlo simulation to see what the potential could be in a probabilistic forecast for 6 months, right? This is exactly why you would use a probabilistic forecast and draw the line at where you think it is at 6 months, and then start trimming from there, right? It's okay to delete. This would be a good place for you to use a Monte Carlo simulation. And as you can see, it's a lot easier to understand what's here than understand even what's in all of these. So,
yep. Cool. We hope that makes sense. Let us know in the comments. What are your follow-up questions? Have you had an experience like this before? Have you ever tried the delete key and it led to bad things? It led to good things? Let us know. Also, your questions help us make future videos. All right, it's end screen time, Todd. Be sure to check out the socials, like and subscribe. You never want to miss a video. Todd keeps coming up with these really cool ideas and these mural visualizations. You don't want to miss these. Check out everything we got going on over at community.agileforhumans.com. That is the premier Agile and Scrum community where Todd and I spend quite a bit of time looking at your questions, going live in events, and a lot of good stuff there. Check it out. Some videos are going to pop up. We think you're going to like them. The algorithm does too. Be sure to binge watch those and keep leveling up your Scrum practices. For Todd Miller, I'm Ryan Ripley. Go forward, do some great things. Hit the delete key on your product backlog and let us know how it goes. Until then, we'll see you next time.